What should you do when the client, the person who has hired you for your expertise in writing compelling, persuasive copy, when they then start telling you how to do your job, they start telling you why it's wrong and why this needs to be changed into that, etc., etc. It's a difficult situation to be in, and it's one that we all will be in at some point or have been in at some point. And it's a fine line to tread because you're the expert, right? If the client knew how to do your job, they wouldn't hire you, they'd just do it themselves. They're sort of barring any sort of time issue there. But you're supposed to be the expert. So why are they then questioning you, the expert? It's easy to get angry at this, to then reply to the client and say something like, I'm the expert, you hire me to do this, you've got to listen to what I say, da 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 da. If you do take that route, it won't be long before you back down to 0 clients. The reason this happens is often, it's an education issue at the end of the day. Everybody learns how to speak, read and write. So everybody thinks that they understand how to write something that will appeal to a certain audience. But copywriting is not about just regular writing. It's a way of writing persuasively. It's about knowing how to communicate the idea, what words to use where, what structure will best sort of communicate this big idea and this big benefit, what sort of images will help go along with that. It's all of these things, and it's a separate education to just language. It's a language of its own, if you like. It's a language of persuasion. And a client might think that they understand better than you because they know how to speak, read and write, and so that's it. Your job is not to get angry and to tell them that you are the expert. Your job is to educate them on why you've done what you've done. So I'm going to include a little written out script in the below of this video if you want to get access to that. But basically what you have to do is you have to explain to the client with this script. It's a very loose script, not word for word. It's just what you should explain to them. Telling them why you've done what you've done. Now, there's 3 stages to this, in my opinion. The first stage is to calm down the dog. It's all right, mate. The first stage is to either find statistics that explain why you've done this or use your own statistics, and it's this latter one which is obviously ideal. If you've got tests from your prior work history that say, let's come up with a situation. Let's say that you've written a long form sales page and the client wants to cut it down by 50% because they think the shorter version will better appeal to their audience. But you know from past experience that sales pages of this length that go into these details in this order, in this level of detail, convert better. They generally convert 100% more people. You then say that to the client. Okay, look, I understand what you're saying. I understand that you think that this needs to be shorter, but tests that I've done with this in the past, where we've tested long versus short here, the structure that I've used, the points, and how I've laid everything out, and when we've gone into detail here, whatever detail they're questioning, we do this because in our tests we found that 60% of the time this converts up to 100% more people. So you get double the conversions. So you explain and you use statistics to back up what you're saying to the client. If at the end of that they go, I don't care, I want it shorter, you move on to the second step, which is to say, okay, I understand. How about we run my long form piece against your shorter form one? I'll cut my long form one down to the shorter, and we'll run them against each other in an A/B test, and we'll see which one comes out on top. And that could inform how we go forward with the next project. That will usually get some sort of response from the client, a positive response from the client. If at that point they're like, no, I want it shorter, if they've ignored your experience, if they've ignored your advice, if they've ignored the statistics, if they're not willing to meet you in the middle on that compromise, there's only really one thing left to do, and that is to do it their way. However, that is also probably the last time you should work with that client. We're not doing the work that we do as freelance writers to do what we think is subpar work. Unless the client knows better than you and has a much longer history and can back their side up with stats, you don't want to work with someone that's going to steamroll you and just ignore your ideas and suggestions. You want to work with clients that work with you to help you become a better writer. The only way you can do that is to test and to try different things. If you're constantly just doing what the client wants and the client isn't a professional copywriter or doesn't come from a professional copy background, you're not really going to learn anything. You're going to do work that you're not proud of. You're going to do work that you don't want to use in your portfolio or as clips for another client. And it's just, the way I always view these freelance relationships is it's a partnership. You're not the employee. You're not there to do what they say. You're there to work in collaboration with them to get the best results. If they're not willing to collaborate, it is not a good fit. So that's what you do with clients who are very heavily editing your work or trying to, is you first explain why you're doing it this way. If they can't see your side of it, you offer to meet them in the middle to run your version and what they think is best as an A/B test. If they still won't, you finish the project the way they want and you finish the relationship there, and you move on to somebody who will work with you so that you can improve both their conversions or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, and also your ability as a copywriter. That's pretty much it. But if you want the script and the outline of those three stages, just click on the link down below and you'll get access to the big file, which has got all of the downloadables from all of these different videos. Cheers. Say goodbye, mate.